Welcome to Not for Pie Eaters. I'm John Dougal. In the recent video titled The Desire to Control Your Husband, we looked at one of the curses that came upon men and women after the fall, and it's a woman's desire to control her husband. We also looked at what the motivation was behind this desire, and we started with a verse in the book Song of Songs, a verse written by King Solomon, and it contrasts two types of women. A rare woman who's of great value, the lily, and far more common women, vexing women, who Solomon calls thorns. Thorns cause pain and harm to a man, and it's a sad reality, but most women are thorns in the sides of their men. Today we're going to look at how to recognize a thorn, and first, the time to do that is before a man gets into a relationship. Men should be cautious with women. Women might be enticing and pretty, but a woman can easily ruin a man's life. So get to know women slowly and carefully, and make sure the woman's of fine character before entering into a relationship. Song of Songs, chapter 2, verse 2. Like a lily among thorns is my darling among the young women. That's a really short verse, but there's a lot to see in it. So what can we see there? First, Solomon could discern between a thorn and a lily. Well, if he can figure it out, then it's possible for you to figure out who's who. And the thorns prick, and they cause grief and harm. And there was only one lily, and the rest of the young women were thorns. So that tells you a little bit about the probability of finding a lily and the probability of getting stuck with a thorn. A lily is beautiful, pleasant, and rare, and thorns are everywhere. In Proverbs 31, it's a chapter that describes the perfect wife. It's long. It's a little inappropriate to cover that in its entirety, but I'm just going to summarize a few things, so we're not going to read the verse. First off, the perfect wife is rare, and her husband can depend upon her and trust her. Her behavior is good and never troublesome, and she works. She's productive. She's kind and charitable. She's respected by other people because her behavior is so nice, and she's wise and even teaches others to be kind and gentle, other women to be feminine. A man needs a feminine woman, and it's a blessing in his life if he has a woman that adheres to Proverbs 31, who's in essence perfect for him. Well, there are lots of verses that describe basically thorns. We'll look at Proverbs 21, verse 19 first. It's better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and angry woman. Then we can look at part of Genesis 3:16, and I've covered these in verses before in other videos, but here again, this is after the fall, after Adam and Eve sinned. Then God said to the woman, "You will greatly desire," and the word translated as greatly desire means desire to control. So you'll greatly desire to control your husband, but he'll rule over you. And then in 1 Corinthians chapter 7. But if you decide to marry, it is not a sin, and it is not a sin for a girl who has never been married to get married. But those who marry will have trouble in this life, and I want you to be free from this trouble. So all of these verses that talk about trouble and contention and control, this is what I see as basically the pathway and the motivations, or at least actions, of the thorns, because the thorn is contentious, controlling, and self-willed. Well, we're going to compare and contrast the lily and the thorn. So a lily, respects her man. She values goodness, kindness, generosity, nurturing, basically the best of the feminine traits. She also values teamwork, responsibility, and industriousness. And the traits of the thorn is to be controlling, selfish, and self-absorbed. I follow a few channels, and most of these pertain to the nature of people, and they're psychology related. One of the channels I like is Psych-Hacks with Dr. Orion Taraban. All of his content is good. Some of his videos are just absolutely superb. And one of those, he has an excellent brief discussion on what loyalty means to a man and to a woman. Loyal does not mean the same things to each gender. Most women value their feelings and are loyal to their feelings even over their loyalty to their man. So if their feelings change, they're going to become loyal to whatever their new feelings indicate. And negative emotions play a big part. This is where you hear, he made me feel what? Insecure. He made me feel angry. He made me feel afraid. And then some new guy comes along. He made me feel alive. He made me feel wanted again. So she remains loyal to her feelings. She abandons her existing man and gets with the new man. And it's important to note that feelings are not truth. Feelings are not reason. Feelings are not even integrity or honesty or honor. Yet most women will value their feelings more than they value anything else. Jordan Peterson covers a lot of topics, and I don't always agree with him on all these topics, but I definitely like his videos and his views on human nature. They are quite informative. And he has a short video on negative emotion, who feels emotion more. Women feel more negative emotion than men, especially those women who are higher in neuroticism than other women. And the negative emotions are tilted towards threat detection, which actually makes sense since a woman is weaker than a man, and any children that come along, infants in particular, they need to be, addressed by the mother so that she keeps that infant safe. Well, the negative emotions are anxiety, depression, hostility, and fear. And it's my hypothesis that women who love their feelings, especially those who highly value their negative emotions, will take action to protect against their fear and insecurity, whether or not the fear and insecurity is justified. And they'll look at their man and blame him for the cause of their feelings, their negative emotions, and they'll take control in a way that simultaneously holds their emotions as supremely valued, and by removing any personal responsibility for their actions. Such women, in my mind, are the quintessential thorns. Well, we want to be able to quickly and as quickly as possible recognize thorns. And so combining the thoughts from these verses with the thoughts from Taraban and Peterson, I have a bit of a hypothesis. And the hypothesis is that for a thorn, her feelings are her highest value. And she'll value her feelings more than anything else. And if she's more neurotic, and a thorn will be, especially more than a treasured woman, the perfect wife, well, she's going to display a lot of negative emotion. She's going to exhibit and is going to be comfortable with controlling behavior. And she does not trust her man or respect him. And she's going to create trouble. She's going to lack kindness and charity, at least consistently. And she's foolish, and I won't say she's unproductive, because in today's society, the norm is for everyone to work, and most women will conform to societal norms. But you'll see thorn behavior in a lack of productivity around the house. Domestic chores will be beneath her. So it's in a man's best interest to put off entering into a relationship until he's absolutely certain who this woman is, whether she's a thorn or a lily. And so he needs to slowly and carefully determine, that the woman is not a thorn. And you figure out what a thorn is by carefully watching behavior. You can't just listen to the words coming out of her mouth. You have to watch her actions and her motivation, and that takes time. And everyone's driven by values. good people be driven by their good values, lazy people by their lazy values, and so forth. A person who seeks ease and comfort, you can see what their value is. They want an easy life. A person who values industriousness, works diligently. Well, a thorn is going to behave according to their thorn values. And that's going to be, fear, insecurity, pride, controlling and contentious behavior. So you need to be on the lookout for these things before you ever get into a relationship. And if Solomon could distinguish between a thorn and a lily, so can you. And you don't want the troubles of life that thorns bring. It's just aggravation and heartache and, any little tidbit of a thrill that you get, a nice smile or sex, it's just not worth it. So relationships are one of life's biggest decisions. A relationship can be wonderful if you can find a woman that's more on the lily side of things than the thorns, and a poor decision can wreck your life. So assess the women around you and practice. Look at the women around you and decide, hey, is this woman, it's just in the workplace or friends or whatever, who's a thorn, who might be a lily. I hope you've appreciated this short video, and here's a link to the video on controlling women if you haven't seen it. And if you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a like and sharing it with friends. Simple acts like these really help the channel. Thanks for joining. Cheers.